Good evening to all of you. Am I audible?
Yes, sir. Good evening.
Yes.
Good evening, sir.
So I'm going to discuss next part of the vocabulary, the series of terms, words जो मैं आपसे डिस्कस कर रहा हूँ. और दूसरी बात क्या आती है कि आज जो वोकेबुलरी है वो बेसिकली कंटेक्चुअल है. किसी एक पर्टिकुलर कंटेक्स्ट को लेकर के अब हम जो उससे रिलेटेड टर्म्स हैं उनको हम समझेंगे और उनको याद रखने की कोशिश करेंगे. सी this is the easiest way or the easier way, not easier but the easier way to keep words in mind, and we can use those words as and when we find an opportunity to use. जब भी हमें मौका मिलता है यूज करने का. तो अब हम डिक्शन बेस्ड जो टर्म्स हैं उनको देखते हैं. पहले तो डिक्शन को ही समझ लेते हैं. डिक्शन होता क्या है? डिक्शन इज बेसिकली द चॉइस ऑफ वर्ड्स बाय अ स्पीकर while speaking or choice of words by a writer while writing, है ना. जो भी words वो चूज करता है कोई व्यक्ति बोलने या लिखने वाला, तो उस स्टाइल ऑफ राइटिंग को and especially the selection of word with respect to some tones, with respect to some tones or thematics. तो टोन्स और थीमेटिक्स के बेस पर जब कोई वर्ड यूज करते हैं बोलते या लिखते वक्त, दैट इज नोन एज डिक्शन. सो हियर दिस इज द लिस्ट ऑफ द वर्ड व्हिच आई एम गोइंग टू डिस्कस विद यू. देयर आर सम 26 words. Few of the words I have given the backup of uses. So देख लेते हैं. एब्स्ट्रैक्ट यहाँ पर फॉर्मली देख लेते हैं. डिक्शन इज बेस्ड ऑन द वर्ड्स ए पर्सन चूजेस एंड द स्टाइल इन विच दोज वर्ड्स आर कंबाइंड टू कन्वे मीनिंग. अब मैं इसमें जो है आपको रेफरेंस बता देता हूँ कहाँ से ये रेफरेंस है बेसिकली. एंड आई वुड लाइक टू थैंक and will give credit to the sources like Cambridge Dictionary, Colin Cobble's, Merriam-Webster, and few other sources जहाँ से ये मैंने compile किया है. So we'll try to make that highly relevant. अब हम इसको देख लेते हैं. Many strong words can be used to describe diction within these broad categories. उसकी बहुत सारी जो कैटेगरीज हैं उसमें बहुत सारे स्ट्रॉन्ग वर्ड्स जो है वो डिक्शन को डिस्क्राइब करने के लिए यूज किए गए हैं. डिग्री ऑफ फॉर्मेलिटी इजंट द ओनली डिफाइनिंग कैरेक्टरिस्टिक फॉर डिक्शन. कोई भी डिग्री ऑफ फॉर्मेलिटी जो है वो डिक्शन के कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स को डिफाइन करने के लिए क्राइटेरिया नहीं है. सिर्फ वही क्राइटेरिया नहीं है. सो दीज टर्म्स यू कैन एज एंड व्हेन एंड वेयरएवर यू आर यूजिंग विल बी कंसीडर्ड एज पार्ट ऑफ द डिक्शन. सो abstract, इसका मीनिंग है an abstract argument or discussion in general and not based on particular, speaking in a conceptual way that leaves much room for interpretation. So abstract means something which is which we cannot, in general sense, which we cannot see or which we can feel.
Yeah.
We can feel. That is considered to be abstract. An abstract argument or discussion is general and not based on particular. So the usage is, if we are going to use the word abstract, this debate is becoming too abstract. Let's have some hard facts. Means something which is highly theoretical. If we are using the term abstract, then that is theoretical. Rather than backed by facts and figures. मीन्स ज्यादातर बातें जो है वो थ्योरी के फॉर्म में हो, कोई फैक्ट्स एंड फिगर्स का यूज ना हो. ट्रूथ एंड ब्यूटी आर एब्स्ट्रैक्ट कंसेप्ट. Abstract carries another meaning, like for any particular feature, we may have a different version, and any other person may have different interpretation or version against that particular situation or that particular feature. अगर हम बात करते हैं कि ट्रुथ, अगर हम ट्रुथ की बात करते हैं या ब्यूटी की बात करते हैं, तो दीज आर द फीचर्स ऑफ एनी पर्टिकुलर thing, object, or any particular situation. So the degree of beauty or truth may be varying from person to person. एक व्यक्ति से दूसरे व्यक्ति के बीच में अगर हम उससे पूछें कि इस बात में कितनी सच्चाई है, तो किसी व्यक्ति के लिए एब्स्ट्रैक्ट फॉर्म में थोड़ी ज्यादा हो सकती है, किसी के लिए कम हो सकती है. इसी तरह से अगर हम किसी सीनिक ब्यूटी की बात करें या किसी भी तरह की ब्यूटी की बात करें, किसी से पूछे कि कितना है इसके अंदर कंटेंट ऑफ ब्यूटी, तो वो किसी के लिए कम और किसी के लिए ज्यादा होता है. दैट इज अगेन, that is why that expression is known as abstract. Thereafter, ambiguous, capable of being understood in two or more possible senses or ways. एक या एक से ज्यादा मतलब अगर किसी चीज के निकाले जा सकते हैं, then that is considered to be ambiguous. Means again, not clear, not clear. ठीक है. That is ambiguous. Yesterday I had told you one word that was antonym of this particular term, ambiguous. What was that? याद है कुछ? कल मैंने आपसे एक टर्म डिस्कस किया था, एक वर्ड डिस्कस किया था. ambiguous का एंटोनियम था, that was unequivocal. Equivocal. Unequivocal means
Clear.
Or equivocal means unclear or ambiguous. So here the vague or non-committal communication doesn't commit to a position that is ambiguous, and the usage is a deliberately ambiguous reply. Whenever any question is asked by anyone, or when we reply to any situation, then it may be possible that we may not have a clear idea, or we may have the intention not to say something very clearly. Then that reply is considered to be ambiguous and not clear. Okay. Many companies are appealing against the ruling because the wordings is ambiguous. कोई भी अगर लिखा हुआ स्टेटमेंट हमें मिलता है, तो उसमें बहुत सारी कुछ एक ऐसी लाइंस हो सकती हैं, कुछ एक ऐसे एक्सप्रेशंस हो सकते हैं जिसमें क्लैरिटी ना हो. और जो क्लैरिटी को दो पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से हम देख सकते हैं. क्लैरिटी को दो पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से, the very first clarity is the clarity of intention, कि कोई समझाना क्या चाह रहा है, उसका इरादा क्या है, and the clarity of expression, कि जो लिखा गया है वो सही तरह से एक्सप्रेस किया गया है कि नहीं किया गया है. ठीक है. तो दो तरह की चीजें आती हैं ambiguous में. Then most of the companies are appealing against the ruling because the wording is ambiguous. Thereafter, cacophonous. Cacophonous, इसका मीनिंग है using a harsh guttural tone that comes across a hoarse or rough. मतलब any such kind of expression or such kind of expression of feelings which in general is harsh, that is cacophonous. Unpleasant mixture of loud sound. आप ऐसे समझ सकते हैं कि अगर बहुत सारे लोग एक साथ बोलना शुरू कर दें, then that is considered to be cacophony if it is not planned or if it is not the part of music. So that that there are few examples. Uses में हम उसको बहुत clearly समझ सकते हैं. As we entered a farmyard, we were met with a cacophony of animal sounds. जब एक फार्मयार्ड के अंदर जैसे एंटर किया, हमें अलग अलग जो एनिमल्स थे, जो अलग अलग जानवर थे, उनके साउंड अलग अलग सुनाई दे रही थी, अलग अलग साउंड थी उनकी, सब बोल रहे थे. तो उसमें कोई एक आप कह सकते हो कि सिम्फनी नहीं थी, यूफोनी नहीं थी, तो दैट इज कैकोफोनी, मतलब कर्कशता आप इसे कह सकते हो, कर्कशता, हिंदी में कर्कश। अस्तित्व क्लियर? See, this is an attempt to make you some of the term you may be aware about, and some of the term may not be formally in your dictionary or in your repository. आपके दिमाग में नहीं होंगे, बट इन सबको पढ़ने से इन सबको रिवाइज करने से, एक बार पढ़ लेने से, that these words are somewhere going to be help you in your expression. इसके बाद कैकोफोनी से रिलेटेड फ्यू अदर टर्म्स आर देयर। अगर हम इसका ये देखते हैं कि ओरिजिन कैसे हुआ, तो वर्ड दैट डिसेंड फ्रॉम द ग्रीक वर्ड फोन आर मेकिंग नॉइज। तो ये फोन से बना है, जिसका मतलब होता है नॉइज, मतलब शोर इन इंग्लिश। एंड व्हाई? बिकॉज फोन्स मीन्स साउंड और वॉइस। फोन का मतलब होता है साउंड या वॉइस, ठीक है, आवाज, या हम बेसिकली आवाज ही आप इसे मानिए। तो इसी तरह से फर्दर few more terms derived out of this term phony. That is, the very first is cacophony, comes from a joining of Greek prefix kak, and from kakos means bad with phone, so it essentially means bad sound. So cacophonous means bad sound, means कर्कश आवाज, कर्कश आवाज, ठीक है। उसका सिम्फनी, a word that includes harmony and agreement in sound, traces to phone, and the Greek prefix is syn, means together, that is symphony. Like this is the prefix is symphony, and like synonyms, syn, sy term is generally used to show the agreement with that of the word attached to this particular prefix. So यहाँ पर सिम्फनी का मतलब है कि जिसके अंदर हार्मोनी और एग्रीमेंट ऑफ साउंड हो, मतलब सारी आवाजों के बीच में तालमेल हो। तो इसको सिम्फनी को हम क्या बोल सकते हैं हिंदी में? दैट इज लय, ठीक है। पॉलीफोनी, पॉली मीन्स मैनी, ये हम सब जानते हैं, और मोनो मीन्स सिंगल, ये भी आप प्रीफिक्स समझ लीजिएगा, ठीक है। दीज आर फ्यू prefixes which somewhere help us decode the meaning of any particular word also. So polyphony refers to the style of music composition in which two or more independent melodies are juxtaposed. Juxtaposed means keeping one after another, or putting side by side. Putting side by side, juxtaposed in harmony. It comes from the combination of phone and the Greek prefix poly means many. तो जब कई सारे म्यूजिकल कंपोजिशंस को, जो स्टाइल ऑफ म्यूजिक कंपोजिशन है, जब उसके अंदर दो या दो से ज्यादा इंडिपेंडेंट मेलोडीज को एक दूसरे के साथ रखा जाता है, then that becomes polyphony. And there are several examples in music you must be finding somewhere around you. Thereafter, euphony, a word for a pleasing or sweet sound, combines phone with eu, a prefix means good, like euphony. Euphony means madhur,
Melodious.
Melodious, yes, melodious. And like eugeny, eulogy, eulogy मतलब प्रशंसा करना, praise. These are the prefixes that gives us the meaning, somewhere help us in driving the meaning. So euphony means something which is melodious, madhur. Symphony means full of lay, means agreement, and somewhere that agreement lead to the euphony. Symphony may lead to euphony. Polyphony may lead to symphony and euphony, and again may lead to cacophony if the sound is not in agreement with each other. Thereafter, connotative. Connotative means indicative. indicative, hinting, connotative, somewhere giving us the impression, the connotative meaning of a word include the feelings and the ideas that people may connect with the word, alluding to or hinting at something without directly saying what it is. किसी भी चीज के बारे में इनडायरेक्टली एक तरह से कहना या उसको इस तरह से उससे किसी एक मीनिंग को ड्राइव करना, दैट इज अ कोनोटेशन और कोनोटेटिव। ठीक है, अब यहाँ पर हम इसका यूजेस देख लें। इट्स जस्ट वन वर्ड, दोज वर्ड्स that's got so many negative connotations. Again, this usage is not that much clear. I am going to tell you another uses, that is if I write here a term here, nationalism, then what connotation this term provides us? This word provides us a connotation of patriotism or patriotic. If any person is nationalist, somewhere this term nationalist connote towards patriotism. Got my point? समझ में आई मेरी बात? Angel, Khushi?
Yes,
Asna?
yes, sir.
So connotation means, लक्ष्मण, कोनोटेशन का मतलब ये है कि जब हम किसी एक वर्ड को आप ऐसे समझ सकते हैं कि आप जब आप वो करते हैं रीजनिंग कर रहे होते हैं तो वहां पर आपने एक एनालॉजी टर्म यूज किया होगा, एनालॉजी। सो अगर हम यहाँ अगर कोई दो x is to y such that a is to b, तो जो रिलेशनशिप इसमें है, somewhere this relationship is tried to establish in this, and this is connotative. This is the relationship between both of these entity among all these four entities are connotative, indicative. Clear?
Yes, sir.
Any of the example which you can put any of the word which gives the connotation? If I write here that my grandfather was strict, my grandfather was very strict, ये बहुत सिंपल सेंटेंस मैंने लिखा है। यहाँ पे ये स्ट्रिक्ट टर्म क्या कोनोटेशन दे रहा है? कुछ कोनोटेशन दे रहा है ना?
यस सर, इट्स इंडिकेटिंग दैट कि मेरे जो ग्रैंडफादर थे वो स्ट्रिक्ट थे।
स्ट्रिक्ट का अल्टरनेटिवली कोनोटेशन में क्या मिल रहा है? ही मस्ट बी डिसिप्लिन, है ना? he must be enforcing discipline, he must be having some regularity in his work or thought,
and show and know his limits.
He must be less tolerant to the to the errors and any other kind of deviance, है ना? So this is the term provides some connotations, some hidden meanings. Okay.
So we can also say now, for example, that his brother is patriotic towards the country.
And that's why I used the term nationalism. Nationalism term gives the connotation of patriotism. But patriotism does not gives us some, yes, again, vice versa. दोनों ही होता है। अगर हम patriotism की बात करते हैं तो वो हमें nationalism भी connote करता है। अगर हम nationalism term use करते हैं तो patriotism भी कहीं ना कहीं hint करता है। But intensity may vary. Thereafter, convoluted. Convoluted sentences, explanation, arguments are unreasonably long and difficult to understand. Convoluted means थोड़ा मरोड़ा हुआ, थोड़ा मरोड़ा हुआ. Convoluted sentences, explanation, arguments are unreasonably long and difficult to understand. Speaking in a manner that makes it difficult for people to follow your thoughts. क्लियर? इस तरह से बोलना कि लोग आपकी बात को प्रॉपर्ली समझ ना पाए और आपके थॉट्स को पकड़ ना पाए. ठीक है? Despite its length and convoluted plot, this is a rich and rewarding read. कुछ किताबें ऐसी होती हैं जो लंबी होती हैं, बड़ी तोड़ मरोड़ के लिखी गई होती हैं, लेकिन इस सेंटेंस के अकॉर्डिंग, यूजेस के अकॉर्डिंग वो रिच थी और रिवॉर्डिंग रीडिंग थी, मतलब उसको पढ़ के कुछ मिला. Policy is so convoluted, even college presidents are confused. Even college presidents are confused. Policy इस तरह इतनी convoluted थी कि जो कॉलेज के प्रेसिडेंट्स थे, अलग अलग कॉलेज के प्रेसिडेंट्स थे, वो भी कंफ्यूज हो गए. Thereafter, emotional, making aroused or agitated in feeling and sensibilities. A speech pattern that overtly conveys a high level of feeling, positive or negative, that is emotional. We all know that. She claimed that the way she had been treated at work had caused her extreme emotional and psychological distress. So this is a very common term, and this term is the part of diction. Thereafter, esoteric. If you describe something as esoteric, you mean it is known, understood, and appreciated by only a small number of people, communicating in an exclusive way that only few will understand. Like if I write here few of the words or jargons related to like medical terminology. If I write something anatomy, this is the term basically used by people, medical practitioners, or people belonging to biological sciences. And there are a few other matters, like if I write here asceticism, asceticism, asceticism. This term is basically the term belongs to philosophy or religion. So if we describe something in more complex way and are directed towards the people who have that access or who have that understanding, then only those people can understand that particular expression is known as esoteric. Communicating in exclusive way that only few will understand. Esoteric. His esoteric interests set him apart from his contemporaries. Esoteric interests, like most of the people believe in common common interest, like traveling to the different places, like eating or different foods, like knowing some of the historical aspects. But some people who may be involved in practicing or following some of the such adventure sports which are not very common among the group of people or the society, and that is esoteric. And in esoteric sense, and more esoteric sense, if I use more abstruse term that you will be finding somewhere near, figurative, metaphorical, abstruse, come across a dense, lacking common sense and unable to comprehend. If I use more abstruse term, as abstruse term in itself abstruse, so that is considered to be, the expression will become esoteric. If any person is communicating in that way, then that is considered to be esoteric. Euphemism. Using a word or phrase in order to avoid saying a more unpleasant or offensive word. Using a word or phrase in order to avoid saying a more unpleasant or offensive word. Insincere communication that masks negative information as a neutral or positive. In general, you must be finding this term very commonly used in newspapers or in media, that in general project some of the situations euphemistically, which in general have very grave consequences, but are communicated in very euphemistic way. Means somewhere lessening the impact which may create on our senses. That is euphemistic or euphemism. So like आप कह सकते हैं कि डांस और ड्रामा के अंदर कई बार जो पेन को वो इस तरह से पेश करते हैं, इवन डेथ को इस तरह से प्रोजेक्ट करते हैं, कई बार उस पर भी वो कॉमेडी बना देते हैं. that aspect is considered to be euphemistic. So political prisons called euphemistically re-education camp. तो पॉलिटिकल प्रिजनर्स को जेल में डाल करके जो भी उनको थोड़ा बहुत टॉर्चर किया जाता होगा, तो उसको यूफेमिस्टिकली क्या बोला जाता है? री एजुकेशन कैंप. मतलब अगर मान लीजिए कोई एक पॉलिटिशियन है, वो कोई अगर दूसरा कोई भी एक व्यक्ति है, वो ये कह सकता है कि दैट सो एंड सो पर्सन इज इन री एजुकेशन कैंप, देन यूफेमिस्टिकली ही इज indicating or communicating that that person is in political prison. Thereafter, figurative, expressing one thing in terms normally denoting another with which it may be regarded as analogous, using examples, stories to illustrate a point rather than directly explaining. That is figurative. Of course, he used the term in a term massacre in a figurative sense. जैसे नरसंहार मचा बोल देते हैं ना, कई बार फिगरेटिवली बोल देते हैं नरसंहार मचा हुआ. तो that the term which are the expressions using such terms denoting some of the situation that may be analogous is figurative. Figuratively, we can use any of the we can express any of the situation figuratively using again this can be the variant of this euphemistic, but euphemism rather leading to this lessens the intensity of negative terms, that is euphemism, and figurative means it's simply we can say it's a metaphorically praising something. In other words, you can say praising something in other more pleasant words. The connotation which we find figurative, that somewhere carries the clemency. Thereafter, metaphorical. If you use the word metaphorical to indicate that you are not using words with their ordinary meaning, but describing something by means of image and symbol, that is metaphoric. It turns out Levy is talking in metaphorical terms. Means again you can use figurative and metaphorical. Any of the word is can be used in exchange of other. एक के बदले में आप दूसरा term use कर सकते हो, and somewhere it is the term which indicate that you are using that term figuratively or using that term to describe any particular situation in a more pleasant and clement way. So these are the 10 words which I use the uses also. Here I will be describing state insipid, communicating in a dull way that is boring and fails to engage others. Insipid means dull or boring or lack of taste or flare. That is insipid. Communicating in a dull way, that is boring and fails to engage other. If you must have found that there are many lectures, and it may be the quality, it may be the quality of the person who is delivering that lecture, that he may not be able to make that particular lecture interesting, then that phenomena is considered to be insipid. ये बोला जाएगा the lecture was very insipid, or the delivery was very insipid. The delivery of lecture was very insipid. Thereafter, loaded, choosing language and presentation designed to elicit an emotional response. Choosing language and presentation designed to elicit an emotional response, that is loaded. So most you must have seen this particular term loaded with respect to the movies, with respect to some of the web series, or even the music, even the song also, that is loaded. Sometimes we use the term loaded, then that with respect to any particular piece of music or any particular song, and that is designed to elicit the emotional response. होता है ना कि अगर कोई गाना सुनते हैं, कई बार लोग रोने लगते हैं, कई बार लोग जो है कैरिड अवे हो जाते हैं. आप जैसे अगर वीर रस का गाना, एक बताओ जरा वीर रस का गाना मैं आपको बताऊं. Choosing language or presentation designed to elicit the emotional response. अच्छा, वीर रस के कवि का नाम बताओ, एक जो बहुत जाने माने. हंसना खुशी इंजन. हाँ, मैं लिख देता हूँ. रामधारी सिंह दिनकर. उनका आपने गुलाल मूवी में गाना सुना होगा, आरंभ है प्रचंड. सुना है? That music was loaded, and that song was loaded. Thereafter, moralistic, judgmental, self-righteous, and preachy way of communicating. So, in general, people are found, and the politicians are found to be moralistic, though they may have some other view also, or they may have their own way to live their life, or to behave alternatively. Thereafter, obscure. Obscure means not clear or ambiguous or equivocal. Or you can say obscure means
Vague.
Spelling बोलो.
VAGUE. Vague.
B.
I'll type it.
Type करिए. Vague, exactly. Yes, vague. Vague. That is obscure. They're using the language that is not widely known or easily understood. The language that is not widely known and easily understood create an obscurity or vagueness that is worth understanding. कोई भी चीज जो पता नहीं है वो बहुत क्लियर नहीं होगी, वो obscure होगी. ठीक है? Obscure means that must be clear. That many times we use that we must be able to communicate in a way that it should not create any kind of confusion and remove the obscurity, and could remove the obscurity. Thereafter, obstruse. So masses may create the clear written masses may create, or a masses containing all relevant aspects may remove obscurity. This is the aspect related to the obscurity. Thereafter, obtuse, coming across dense, lacking common sense, and unable to comprehend. And obtuse के साथ obstruse भी होता है. Obstruse, जिसको समझना मुश्किल है, purely related to that particular discipline. Thereafter, ordinary, everyday words or a personable speech pattern, that is commonplace remark. Commonplace. Commonplace. That is ordinary. Outdated means which are using terms or speech patterns no longer used in regular basis. That is archaic. 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 Old-fashioned. Outdated. Provincial. Coming across as a novice who is uncomfortable with the subject matter. Provincial. Coming across as a novice who is uncomfortable with the subject, that is considered to be provincial. Sensuous. This is again innuendo. Innuendo means, इसको हिंदी में बोलते हैं वक्रोक्ति. Vakropti. Saying something indirectly in a speech or words. That is innuendo. किसी बात को घुमा फिरा कर कहना. Innuendo. Simple. Using commonly understood language presented in easy to follow manner. Symbolic, using symbols and metaphor to convey meaning. Symbolic, we can use metaphor and symbolic or figurative in exchange to each other. Allegory. This term can also be used in place of metaphor. Tragic, slanting words and presentations to overemphasize and exaggerate negative aspects. Thereafter, tragic, need not to explain that in detail. We all know that slanting wordings or and presentation to overemphasize and exaggerate negative aspect. That is tragic. Thereafter, trite, using stereotypical language in a way that comes across out of touch. Trite. Trite means the broken. Tutti-frutti, using stereotypical language in a way that come across out of touch. जैसे बहुत सारे प्लेस पर हम जाएं, कई बार हमें इस तरह की लैंग्वेज मिलती है, हो सकता है जिसको हम जानते भी हों, बट दैट इज कंसिडर्ड टू बी ट्राइट. हमको टूटे फूटे तरीके से समझाई गई कोई एक्सप्रेशन होता है, then that is typical or stereotypical language related to that particular place, that is considered to be trite. Broken. Verbose, ये मैंने आपको कल भी बताया था. Using lots of words to communicate that could have been said in a sort of way. Verbose. Verbose means using more than, that is verbosity means prolixity, prolix. And using more than necessary words, that is verbose. Means हिंदी में इसको हम बोलेंगे कि जरूरत से ज्यादा बोलना है लिखना. That is verbosity है in expression, or that is also known as prolixity or prolix or prolixity. Vivid means clear. We all know this. Coming across very enthusiastic, excited, and engaged. That is vivid. Vivid remarks. Very clear. And this is basically adjective. And if I write here vividly, then that becomes adverb. Thereafter, vulgar, using coarse language gestures in a way that comes across as offensive. Vulgar language, gandi bhasha, गालियां, or filthy language. Vulgar. So the vulgar term is used in expression, and most of the time it is used in expression or in any creative work. Somewhere vulgarity is decoded or is indicated. That is the part of diction. So these were the 26 words which I curated, which I found useful to understand the context describing a diction. You may use any of the word, and you start understanding the context where the particular word is to be used, and that context where will going to reflect definitely your dexterity, your expertise. Expertise in language or your or putting your expression vividly. So that's all I wanted to discuss with you today, and we'll come with few more classes, and I will be discussing similar thematic and contextual terms in coming classes also. So thank you, and the document will be available to you, and please remind me कि अगर कोई document रह गए हैं तो मैं उनको आपको available कराता हूँ.
सर
ये डॉक्यूमेंट कहाँ मिलेगा ड्राइव में?
क्या कह रहे हो असना?
ये डॉक्यूमेंट ड्राइव में कहाँ मिलेगा?
ड्राइव में ही आपको जो इंग्लिश का जो डॉक्यूमेंट है ना, वर्बल एबिलिटी का,
जी
उसके अंदर मिलेगा. ये आपको वोकेबुलरी के सेक्शन में मिलेगा.
ओके सर.
सर बुक्स कब तक शिप होंगी?
बुक्स आपकी बुक्स अभी 1-2 बुक्स आपकी सैटरडे तक प्रिंट होकर के आनी है. सैटरडे तक प्रिंट होकर जाएगी. सैटरडे को हम पोस्ट कर देंगे.
ओके सर. और सर वो जो फिलोसफी ऑफ रिलीजन वाला डॉक्यूमेंट था वो भी अवेलेबल नहीं है.
अच्छा, रिलीजन वाला डॉक्यूमेंट अभी अवेलेबल नहीं हुआ है?
नहीं.
ठीक है, हम उसको अभी करवाते हैं. अभी
ओके सर, थैंक यू.
सर मेरी जो बुक आपने जो पोस्ट करवाई वो कब तक आएगी?
आपकी बुक पोस्ट हो गई है. आपकी बुक मुझे लगता है आप केरला में रहते हो ना?
नहीं, सूरत.
अच्छा, सूरत. तो आपको लग जाएंगे 3-4 दिन. अभी
3-4 दिन?
हाँ, 3-4 दिन लगते हैं.
और सर जो दूसरी बुक्स जो बाकी रहेगी वो कब तक
वो
आएगी?
जैसी आएगी तुरंत पोस्ट कर देंगे वो.
अच्छा ठीक है.
गुड डे टू ऑल ऑफ यू.